our freedom is limited by our own mind. Our freedom is limited by our own self. Right? So guess what's the biggest restriction on the mind in America today? Copyright. When you copyright something, what does copyright do? It restricts you from transferring knowledge. Of course, I say in my book, anybody can copy. They can take the knowledge. It's all right. But the whole idea is that copyright is one of the biggest restrictions to knowledge. So are we really free here? No. Because you copy that guy words, you have to pay for it. Right? One of the biggest, ambiguity in terms of freedom. How can you copyright knowledge? Well, from God. It's for to help us, everybody. There's no copyright on knowledge. You can't copyright knowledge. Because then it will not help the people. So our Vedas was never copyrighted. If you notice, all the Hindu knowledge was never copyrighted. Because it's free. It's free for people, And what makes me find it very funny and interesting is how hypocritical the authors of America can be. They will quote words from the Ramayana or the Gita or something, and they'll put it in a book and they'll say, oh, it's copyrighted. Now they'll take the free knowledge, copyright it, and say, it's mine. How can that be? That's hypocritical. So knowledge should never be copyrighted. Knowledge is free for all. You don't see me restricting life code from anybody. You're free to learn the life code. Know your life. So the whole idea now is freedom of the mind. It was important. And who taught this mostly in our Hindu scriptures was Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna taught us to free the mind, to love everything in the mind. In other words, it is our mind that makes us not do things. Right? So, in the physical sense, if you love somebody, you say, I want that person. How do you want that person? Do you want that person to stay with you? Do you want a person to sleep with you? Do you want that person to be somebody who you can look at all day because you love that person? Or do you want that person to be the one that you love in your mind? Right? Because most people interpret love differently that way. They say, okay, well, if I don't sleep with the person, that means I'm not in love with the person. Right? That's not true. Lord Krishna taught us pure love. He says you can love purely without any kind of restriction. And if you do that, just like you love the songs and the music, then you will never be free of love. Then you will always be free in your mind. So when he says, Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Manohare Govinda Jai Jai, meaning, I am victorious, I am a victory, and therefore I am in love. I'm in love. I'm in love with Radha. But Radha is not in front of me, but I still love her. Right? So this is how you have to love to free yourself. Love without restriction. So we put restrictions on ourselves. And don't put restrictions on. Make yourself free. It's not really free in a physical sense, because you could be in the freeway and still be jammed up with traffic. That's not a freeway. Okay, so now it's the same thing in our life. We put so many restrictions on ourselves, our mind, that we restrict ourselves. And especially with love and things like that, love making and things like that. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. When a person says, "Well, I'm divorcing," right? Where's the divorce occurs first? First in the mind, because you're angry at the person. They say, "I'm not divorced." I know many people who are divorced and still not divorced. You know, many people are divorced, and you can live in a house, and the husband and wife turns their back on each other. They don't love each other at all, but they live in the house, and everybody outside thinks, "Oh, they're doing well, they're living together, they're doing well." No, it's all in the mind. You can sleep in the same bed and still be not free. As you can see, Krishna, Jai Radha, means I'm victorious in my love, right? And so you will see that the mind is what reflects the outer part of ourselves. For example, how do you know somebody is mad? Even if they don't speak. Their face. Your face is the monitor of the computer. It displays everything about being mad. And of course, like, if Martha gets upset, I always will know. All I have to do is look at her face. If she is happy, I'll know. If Angela is happy, I will know. Why? Because I can see the expression on the face. Now, some people cannot recognize the expressions sometimes. For example, someone outside who you don't know, someone who is not your lover, not your friend, will not know when you're mad. Why? Because they don't know you. But someone who is close to you, who knows you, will know when you're angry or you're upset. So what does that tell you? That only when the person knows you, they can understand you. So you have to get to know the person inside. So that's why if a person is ugly, it's because they're ugly inside, not outside. So you have to remember now that you have to make sure your mind is pure. And how your mind becomes pure? By making your mind free, and also by what you eat. What you eat, how your heart feels. So when you come to see the Swami puts you on a fast, he makes you do all of these things, and then your face starts to shine, you start to look better, then the guy gets attracted to you, and you come back and says, "Well, I met somebody." Why? Because your inside starts to change. So that's why we have to free our mind, because when you free your mind, you become beautiful. And don't have obstacles. Like one girl told me, she says, "I will never meet anybody." What has she done? She just made herself ugly, didn't she? Right? One girl says, "Swami, I'm never going to have children." She just denied her marriage. She didn't marry yet. When these kids grow up and say, "I'm never going to marry," it all changes later. But what are they doing? They're doing something called affirmation. Affirming their mind that this is going to happen. Right? And some girls will say, well, I'm not going to let my parents choose the guy for me. I'm going to choose my own guy. So she ends up choosing her own guy and goes through all of these problems, and then later on comes back to the parents and says, well, can you find somebody for me? Because she affirmed that. Maybe the parents would have found a better guy. So we make affirmations to ourselves without realizing it, which is a mantra. So we have to say positive things. And I don't care if anybody tells you, well, okay, you have an ego, that's why you're saying that. But if you're saying it to yourself, that's good. So you have to affirm your mind and make your mind pure. Because the lady who says, well, and we had cases like that, you're aware of it, Martin is aware of it. This girl came to me, and she was, I think she was from Colombia or somewhere. And she said in her mind she never wanted to marry. So every husband that she married died. She kept affirming that she doesn't want to marry. She said her father forced her to marry the first guy. So the guy died. But she never wanted to marry. She always said, I never wanted to marry, and then every guy died. So what's in the mind? Yes. The most interesting one is when you're pregnant and the baby absorbs everything that you have done in your mental process. Right? Which is what we call in Hinduism mula. In other words, what causes mula is when the wife is pregnant and she says, I hate my husband, I don't want to see him. And then right when the baby born, a year later, the husband either separates or dies. So this is the power of our mind. We have to free it by affirmations, which is what I've given you in this paper here. All the affirmations that you need to do. Right? And of course, there are negative affirmations also. For example, when Miguel says, I don't feel good, right away he will not feel good. Because he says it. I've noticed that. If he says, I am going to be strong, he's going to be strong. See, these are the things you need to teach the kids. Now you see, the little one playing the tabla, she never said, no, I'm not going to play the tabla. She said, I am going to do this. And she ends up playing the tabla. So, it's the affirmation in our life that controls our thoughts and the way we look and so on. Right? So, as soon as you see someone, don't judge them right away. Look at the inside and see how that inside has made them beautiful. Because love is not really just looking at someone.